Hello guys, welcome back to Pause. Adam here and welcome back to World Discovery. This is part 10 of our Epcot World Showcase inspired build here in Planet Coaster. Now anybody new to the channel, hello and welcome. Please do check out all the other content here on the channel and all the other parts to this series. And if you do go on to enjoy this video, don't forget to give the video a like down below as it really does help us out. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to stay up to date with all of our content. So what are we doing today? We are jumping back into our Mexico area and into our log flume, which goes through our little cave area, heads outside and then heads back into a cave to have the big finale of the ride. So in the last episode we put in the station, the queue line and a few of the indoor scenes. In this episode we're just adding a few more effects to these scenes that we did last time. A little bit of triggered fire in this scene, some speakers and audio that trigger when the lights come on, and then we add a few little bits and pieces to the station a little bit later on in the video. But the main bulk of today is we get the outside scene pretty much complete. So the outside scene, which basically comes just after the scene you're looking at here, you go up the lift hill past the skull that we put in the last episode, and then it leads outside. Now, as I've mentioned previously, this outside area is very isolated. You're not going to see it from anywhere else in the park, and you're not going to see the park from the outside area of this ride. So it's very much an immersive experience. That's the plan anyway, and my idea for this outside area is basically that you're floating through a kind of settlement or a kind of an abandoned area that used to be inhabited by somebody, and you'll see nature has kind of taken over, and also there is a sort of a plane crash scene as well, so it kind of gives the impression that there used to be sort of civilization there. And we put in a few little animatronics, a few water features, but generally the idea with this is that the water is going to play a big part. So there's a lot of gushing geysers and fountains and things, and the idea is that all the water and the stones and everything that's around here is connected to the middle of that sort of loop area. As you can see, it's very tedious. There's not, in terms of realism, why would water be squirting out of rocks? But I think in this kind of scenario it works quite well. I like it. So we add, like I said, quite a lot of rock work, quite a lot of theming, a lot of effects, and some audio around this area as well. But towards the end of the video we do head into the sort of dark and light this area up quite well. We also go back through the ride and add a few more lights here and there as well, just to sort of finish it off as we get there. So at least then when we've got the final scene in, we can basically just ride it and it'll be pretty much there, good to go. As that's the aim for this one. There will be a POV as soon as we finish it off. I think next episode we'll get it finished. We've just got the final scene to do in the sort of finale section. I'm thinking we'll probably use quite a bit of fire and sort of some of the animatronics like the snakes and things like that. So that's something, like I say, we'll tackle in the next episode. One thing I will mention, thank you ever so much to everybody who's been commenting on the videos. I really do appreciate your suggestions. There's been some absolutely fantastic ideas that I really enjoy, and I'm glad a lot of you have sort of enjoyed the bits and pieces we did last time with the skulls and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really unique thing that I've not seen anyone else do, so I'm glad you guys sort of enjoy that and have seen that it looks quite nice. But yeah, so thank you for your suggestions. Keep them coming in. Like I said before, I do really listen to them. I normally have a sort of day or two between each video coming out before I record the next episode, so I give myself time to listen to all the suggestions and feedback. One of the suggestions actually was the station. Well, a few people mentioned the station was a little bit light on the theming, on the sort of other side, the sort of rocks and the cave. So like I did sort of allude to at the start, I do spend quite a bit of time in there today. We've put in loads more theming, loads more bits and pieces, just to make it look a little bit better. As I've sort of mentioned before, the idea is you're breaking out from the main sort of temple Mayan structure into a cave that's sort of hidden at the back. So I kind of follow on that idea in the station by putting a load of stanchions and sort of wooden supports and things to give the impression that the cave is sort of being held up really primitively by these sort of wooden slats. And we throw in a few little bits and pieces like barrels and crates and things, again just to give the idea that there's been some civilization there at some point, and they've sort of found it and investigated it, which is why we use a lot of those sort of square lanterns in the station, as they're very easily to sort of light down. The idea generally behind it, and my thought process, is that someone has found this cave, brought in loads of sort of like candle torches, put them in situ, just to give you a bit of light. That's the idea. So back to today's footage. I'll jump back to the station when we get there in the footage. Here I just want to add in a few animatronics. Again, just for something to look at. Like I said, budget is not really an issue for this park, so we could have some sort of big pieces. I'm not going to go over the top with it, but in this section we do have the big scorpion, and we also put in a little sort of crocodile alligator-y thing a little bit later on as well. So very minimal animatronics, but I think in this scenario it works quite well. And I've sort of made a little cave structure at the back. And the idea for that, and my thought process, is that that's sort of the cave of the scorpion, the king scorpion in a way, which at some point probably used to be a little settlement again, hence why there's these supports in here. And then the scorpion's kind of moved in, taken over, and now it's protecting its home. Is the idea. I mean, I know it's very tedious, and I know it doesn't necessarily link so much with Mexico. However, I'm fairly certain they have scorpions in Mexico. If I'm wrong, please correct me, and I can maybe put something else in its place, but I'm fairly certain it kind of fits the theme. This little plane here, I think it works. I mean, it's from the adventure pack, but I think it fits this kind of theme. Again, I just wanted something high, so you're not necessarily it's not a main focus point, but when you just sort of floating around this river bit, it is quite a slow area, so I just wanted there to be things sort of all over the place to catch the eye. So a couple of high bits, and a couple of bits closer to the actual track as well. Again, just alluding to the fact that at some point there's been a crash here. That's the general idea. Like I say, it's various bits and pieces. It all comes together in the end. Like I say, when we bring it in with the lighting and the audio, I think it all works quite nicely. But like I said, open to suggestions. What I'm struggling with in this sort of section of the ride was trying to make it overly Mexican. There's not an awful lot of pieces in the game that we can actually use for that. So it's hard to do a very like a celebration of Mexico. I can't really do it because I don't have the pieces. I've alluded to it a few times, the inspiration from this ride is taken from the 3 Caballeros in Epcot, and that's literally is just a very slow boat ride through like Mexican towns, cities, and it's got screens and hats and all kind of stuff that is instant Mexican as you go through it. And I'm really struggling to do that here because I don't have the pieces, so instead we've just sort of made our own little storyline up that links in a way to Mexico through the name of the temple and that kind of thing. So bear with me. Yeah, it's tedious, but yeah, bear with me. Now this bit here, I just wanted to have some kind of like sort of imposing feature to the drop. And again, taking inspiration from Splash Mountain this time actually was where this one's come from. As you're floating around here, you sort of come across this kind of weird stalactite structure with vines and things, again to give the impression that you are about to head down into something not so nice, which is like I say the finale of the ride is going to be sort of quite a dark, fiery kind of area. Obviously right at the end you escape the evil whatever we decide to put in there, and then you get back to the station. But yeah, that drop is going to be amplified in terms of its fear level through the scenery that we put around it. And I think they work quite well. They look a bit like teeth as you go in sort of down the cave, but I mean I think it works quite well as like a little sort of fear-inducing moment for the drop. And I think it turns out quite nice. I think I need to light it up a little bit better. I use sort of greens and reds when we get to that at the end, but I definitely think we can do something better with that drop. but I think we might even put in some triggered effects as you drop down. But again, that's something we can work on next time, as we only get up to the drop today. Everything beyond that we will do sort of in the next episode. Now here we're jumping back into the station, as I mentioned. A lot of these sort of wooden stanchions and wooden planks to sort of support the cave. I've sort of dotted them around fairly randomly, as it would be, to try and give it a little sense of realism. These are actually the animatronic braking pieces that you probably see as I'm putting down. I don't have them triggered, they're all sort of stationary, but I don't think you'd have loads of animatronic bits of wood in a station, so instead we've just gone for static. There's nothing sort of animatronic in this station area except for the door, and that's only triggered when you actually go through it. So yeah, we've put quite a lot of these barrels around, again, just to give the impression that at some point there was some civilization there who's built this kind of track. Well, I say track, like I mentioned before, the idea for this ride is that this river that you're going down has been sort of built or chiseled out by civilization at some point, going through this kind of structure. Maybe it was a mine or something, I don't know. But it's something that's been there for a long time, and you're just sort of jumping onto the old investigation years later, once it's been abandoned, and now you're sort of travelling through what used to be someone's home, maybe. I don't know, it's very tedious. Don't question the story too much. It's just, yeah, I like to come up with some idea for it. As like I say, a lot of my inspiration does come from Disney, and it's a big inspiration from everything I do actually in life, not just Planet Coaster. And everything that is in one of the Disney parks, there is a reason why it's there. So there's a storyline for everything, and I like that aspect of it. It's how it's what makes the difference between any old theme park and a Disney theme park, is that attention to detail. And if we can try and input a bit of that into this game and some of these builds, then I'm all for it. And I think it helps, and it's better to take the little bit extra time to actually think about it and come up with a storyline and a plan and a reason why things are there. Because then, like I say, in the grand scheme of things, it just adds to that realism and the immersion of what you're trying to build and trying to achieve. And that's what I try and do. If it works and if I can pull it off, good. If not, I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. But yeah, so I want to just allude back to the comments. I really do appreciate the comments everyone's making at the moment, saying about the series and the builds and things. Honestly, I do appreciate it. Thank you ever so much. And I am trying to be a lot better with this series than the previous ones I've done on the game. And I'm trying to spend a bit more time and put a bit more detail in, which is why it's a bit slower, and I'm not getting as much done in each episode. But I think it's better to spend the time to get the sort of quality there rather than just rushing to finish it off. I mean, if I'd really wanted to, I could probably have been on like Country 5 or 6 by now. But I want to take my time, do it justice. And as soon as we finish this ride, obviously we've got the rest of the Mexico area to finish off, so we can start putting in like a few more buildings. I want to make it sort of like a celebration kind of atmosphere, and that's the sort of idea for the rest of this area and this park, really. So that's about it for today's time-lapse footage. There's a few little God, I can't even speak today. There's a few slow-mo shots now, showing you around the station, and the few little scenes that we've done, and also the big outdoor scene. Just showing off a few bits and pieces, and I think it's coming together really nicely. And I'm starting to really like the look of it, and to be honest, I really want to ride it in real life. I think this would make a really nice ride. So this is, a few little slow-mo shots, so I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. If you have, don't forget to give us a like down below, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of the content, and don't forget to press that little bell button, and it'll just send you a notification whenever new videos go live. As I don't really have a set structure to the channel at the moment, it just kind of, videos go up when they go up, so that notification thing would help you to see when the videos are live. And if you've got any questions, queries, comments, suggestions, or anything like that, please do drop them down below. Like I said, there's going to be a few days break between this one and the next episode, so I can sort of read your comments, read your suggestions, and hopefully do a little bit of justice. And like I said, we have got the finale scene coming up in the next episode, so if you've got any ideas for that, let me know, as I'm sure to put them in. Like I said, I'm kind of going for a dark fire kind of angle, but what exactly that's going to be, I'm not sure yet. So drop your suggestions down below. And for now, guys, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, guys. Bye.